We are committed to enhancing the health and economic well-being of all Nigerians.
Re-energizing the country's economy for a more prosperous future takes center stage as President Muhammadu Buhari opens conference of stakeholders in banking and finance industry.
National Assembly is prime and ready to receive and start work on the bill.
Senate finally resumes after 2 months recess, receives presidential request seeking consideration of passage of bill on explosive, small and light weapons. Plus, update on Kaba Correctional Center break. 114 inmates returned to the center. Good evening and welcome to NTA Network News. I'm Ian Ray. John Adiola Komiokere joins me from Lagos. Thank you for joining us. Stakeholders in the banking and finance industry have begun a 2-day brainstorming session aimed at speeding up the process of recuperating the nation's economy for a prosperous future. President Muhammadu Buhari, who declared the conference open, promised that his administration would continue to engage with those who matter in the Nigeria project towards building a future-forward Nigerian nation. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
Organized by the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, the conference, 14th in the series, focuses on economic recovery, inclusion and transformation, the role of banking and finance. Rwandan leader Paul Kagame delivered a virtual keynote address.
The banking sector, more than any other, understands the importance of integrity and good customer service. Banking is ultimately about trust. We look to you to set the pace in this regard. Our role as governments is to maintain good enabling environments.
Special guest of honor, President Muhammadu Buhari, saluted the banking and finance industry for its commitment towards charting a practical path for economic recovery and transformation of the country.
Let me reiterate that we are committed to lifting our people out of poverty and will continue to embark on initiatives that will ensure we achieve this laudable objective as we together build a future-forward Nigeria.
Already, the president explained the 5.01% GDP growth recorded by Nigeria, the highest rise since the fourth quarter of 2014, clearly indicates that the efforts of his administration at repositioning the economy is paying off. He, however, said beyond the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic to the future, there are bountiful opportunities that can be leveraged for sustainable economic growth.
As we continue to progress towards the next frontiers of digitization, we must harness all opportunities while being mindful of the inherent risks. Let me now alert that we are committed to enhancing the health and economic well-being of all Nigerians.
President Buhari enumerated, amongst others, the establishment of Infraco PLC, a world-class infrastructure development vehicle with a combined debt and equity take-off capital of 15 trillion naira, and the Solar Power Niger project aimed at delivering 5 million off-grid connections to Nigerian households as some of the various initiatives towards achieving the objective.
I am confident that the speakers that have been carefully selected to contribute to conference will share insights that will help individuals, businesses, and governments at all levels make necessary adjustments and take the right steps towards our collective resolve to position Nigeria as one of the top economies in the world.
The president commended the financial services industry for its intervention and contributions towards promoting financial inclusion as well as fostering economic growth of the country. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Similarly, to achieve inclusive growth and further drive the recovery process, the banking and financial sector must take the lead in complementing the federal government's drive to promote sustainable growth and development. This position was put forward by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the 14th Banking and Finance Conference in Abuja. Musa Abubakar reports.
For 13 years, this gathering has provided the platform for banking and finance sector to exchange ideas and profile solutions to contemporary issues. This year, the focus is the economic recovery, inclusion, and transformation. With 5.01% gross domestic product recorded in second quarter of 2021, stakeholders were optimistic but remain concerned over unemployment rate and inflation. This gathering is resolute that the banking and financial sector, as a catalyst of economic growth, will help further drive the recovery process through inclusion of youths to achieve the much-needed transformation.
Our banking and financial sector to step up to the plate and play its part. And this sector has a large part to play. First, because we know that countries with well-developed financial systems experience faster economic growth and as such are better able to engineer accelerated exit out of poverty for many.
Continued implementation of interventions in the agricultural and manufacturing sectors, improved availability of COVID-19 vaccines, recovery in crude oil prices, along with a significant pickup in economic activities have led to a surge in our gross domestic product GDP output as our economy grew. Our banking sector remains well positioned to support the recovery efforts of the monetary and fiscal authorities.
There is also work to be done to ensure we meet targets regarding financial inclusion, infrastructural development, SME growth, and female equality.
More than ever before, we need the banking industry and the financial institutions to step up with new innovative financing mechanisms.
Inputs from sessions on post-COVID-19 and opportunities amongst other contributions will form the next line of action to speed up the recovery process. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has advocated strategic partnership among the three tiers of government and the private sector, describing it as critical to post-COVID-19 recovery and building a strong and resilient economy. He was represented by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment at the ongoing Partnership Economy Nigeria Summit, organized by the Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs. Mitari Ikben brings us details.
The Partnership Economy Nigeria Summit seeks to harvest and harmonize strategies for linking initiatives for achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals directly to grassroots businesses. The Vice President, who was represented at the event, believes the summit will provide more inclusive business solutions for eradicating hunger and poverty as envisioned by the SDGs.
In today's Nigeria, it is imperative to build a seamless partnership between our citizens and all arms of government. The federal government is committed to providing practical support to smaller companies at this critical time. That is why we concluded the landmark $1 billion US syndicated term loan through the Bank of Industry.
The Special Duties Minister and other speakers stressed the importance of partnership for development.
This summit tended to empower the local government councils with a change agent on the ground.
We must go and give education to the people at the grassroots. We must also provide them jobs so that they can fend for themselves.
As part of its objectives, the Partnership Economy Nigeria Summit hopes to identify financial instruments and vehicles for creating additional 4 million jobs for Nigerians annually. In Abuja, Mitari Ikbe, NTA News.
The president of the African Development Bank Group, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, has received the Leadership Person of the Year award from the Leadership Newspaper Group in Nigeria. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo presented the award to Dr. Adesina, which was given in recognition of his impeccable public service record and extraordinary accomplishments in driving the growth and development of the African Development Bank Group. Meanwhile, the Senior Vice President of Leadership Group Limited, Azubike Ishikwene, made it known that in past 5 years, which Adesina has presided over the African Development Bank, conscious efforts have been made to rededicate the bank to its core philosophy of building today a better Africa tomorrow. In other news, President Muhammadu Buhari has written to Senate seeking the consideration and passage of the Explosives Bill and the Small Arms and Light Weapons Bill 2021. The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, read the executive communication shortly after the legislators resumed from their annual recess. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Senators returning to the chamber after 2 months and 5 days recess, accompanied by the usual resumption greetings.
Distinguished colleagues, welcome back. Please take your seat.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, read 3 letters from the executive: the Explosives Bill, the Small Arms and Light Weapons Bill 2021, and the addendum to the 2018-2021 Federal Government External Borrowing Plan.
Total sum of USD American dollars $4,476,863 plus euro 710 million and grant component of USD 125 million dollars. The Senate is kindly invited to note that the projects and programs in the borrowing plan were selected based on positive technical and economic evaluations and the contribution they would make to the socio-economic development of the country.
That was followed by a welcome speech by President of the Senate, who acknowledged presidential assent to the Petroleum Industry Act and called on the Implementation Committee to expedite action on its takeoff.
I want to take this opportunity to urge the Implementation Committee to expedite action so that our country will start to reap the benefits of the law.
He announced that the National Assembly is ready to receive and begin consideration of the 2022 Appropriation Bill.
Let me emphasize that the Senate, indeed the National Assembly, is prime and ready to receive and start work on the bill. That's the Appropriation Bill.
Senator Lawan also acknowledged the current achievements of security personnel in the fight against insecurity. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the atmosphere was somber on the first day of plenary at the House of Representatives as members mourn a late colleague, Representative Adedayo Omolafe, who died during the annual recess. Prayers were offered in honor of the lawmaker who died on the 15th of August 2021. Plenary was suspended to Wednesday, as is the tradition. Senate also suspended legislative activities in honor of the late member of the House of Representatives who represented Akure North and South Federal Constituency of Ondo State, observed a minute's silence and prayed for the repose of his soul. And still in the National Assembly, the House of Representatives Committee on Defense has engaged the Minister of Defense in relation to a bilateral agreement signed between Nigeria and Russia on insecurity. National Assembly correspondent Lamiali brings us details.
The engagement was initiated by the House to obtain details of the agreement
between the Nigerian government and the Russian Federation, and as it affects our fight against banditry, insurgency, and kidnapping, and all other vices we have in Nigeria, and also its implication on national security.
The meeting immediately went into closed door. The committee had earlier met with a delegation from the Nigeria Defense Academy over the 24th August security breach at the institution, which left 2 officers dead and 1 other abducted.
All the service chiefs and the chief of defense staff were all in the academy just to commiserate with the academic community and also to get more information. Senior retired and serving military officers have called. They have also visited the academy because the academy is very dear, not only to the military, but to Nigeria as a whole.
Ongoing efforts to secure the release of the abducted officer and measures to avoid a repeat formed parts of the briefing, also held behind closed door. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The Office of the National Security Advisor has developed a protection plan for critical national information infrastructure through the implementation of the new National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy 2021. A statement by the head strategic communication, Zachary Usman, indicates modality for the policy was discussed at the 7th meeting of the Cybercrime Advisory Council, chaired by the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Mogunu, in Abuja. The Council, as part of its mandate and that the Cybercrime Act 2015, deliberated on the development of a protection plan and updated modalities for the cybersecurity sensitization program for relevant sectors. Time for our first break. Please stay. Thank you for staying. The massive investment of the federal government in youth empowerment is in line with the vision of the All Progressives Congress to raise a successor generation of leaders that will build on legacies of the party. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, stated this when he received the APC Youth Platform, led by the party's national youth leader, Ismail Ahmed, in Abuja.
The APC Youth Wing has been a formidable force in mobilizing Nigerians, especially the youth, to support the ideals, policies, and programs of the federal government. Its delegation is at the presidency to interface with government towards leveraging on the productivity and energy of Nigeria's youth population in driving government's development agenda across various sectors.
Based on statistics, 6.5 million people would be of voting age by 2023. We want in 2023 the slogan to be youth, because the party must be made attractive to young people.
For SGF Boss Mustafa, the Buhari administration has been deliberate about investing in the youth. He emphasized that structures are in place both in government and at the party level to mentor the next generation of leaders.
We want to bequeath to you a process that we believe strongly that if you can just nurture it and hold it, we'll have a greater Nigeria in the future. And the future of the party can only be sustainable. And the ideals for which Mr. President stands for, if we invest in committing the leadership of the party and the leadership in governance to this successor generation that we are raising.
The SGF urged the youth to keep faith in the ability of the federal government to overcome current national challenges. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
A group of men and women of different faith and ethnicity that have lived in Jos, known as Make Jos Great Again, has called on all stakeholders to join hands with the state government to regain the peace and harmony that prevailed in Jos in particular and Plateau State in general in the past, making it home of peace and tourism. A statement signed by Chief Samuela Danko Makama and 21 others, the forum condemned the cycle of killings, reprisals and destruction disrupting the relative peace enjoyed in the past 6 years. The forum called on warring factions to sheath their swords and give peace a chance. It commended the proactive steps so far taken by the Plateau State government to prevent escalation of the recent crisis. It also commiserated with the families of all those that lost loved ones in the unfortunate incidents, as well as those who sustained injuries and lost property. Normalcy is gradually returning to Kaba Security Custodial Center with the recovery of 114 inmates out of those who escaped during the recent attack on the center. Deputy Controller General of Operation, Nigeria Correctional Service, Mohammed Tukur, gave the update while on assessment of the center. Rotimi Ebo has details.
Kaba Security Custodial Center, as at the time of the recent attack, had 294 inmates. Deputy Controller General of Operation, Nigeria Correctional Service, Mohammed Tukru, while on assessment of the center, told NTA News off camera that 114 inmates had so far been recovered. Information available to NTA News revealed that about 180 inmates are being expected. The premises of the center is still under a tight security, while other paramilitary agencies have continued to pay visit to identify with officers and men of the center.
When they were firing there, no, it was not easy for us. They came to around some few minutes to 11, and they operated up to 3 o'clock. In fact, the kind of weapons that they used in that place threatened the community. And in fact, they located their security vehicle around the town, and it was hooting intermittently to scare people away. And in fact, it was not easy for us. The frontage of the prison correctional science service should be located at the back of the fence, so that nobody will know what is happening in that place. If it is possible, there should be CCTV camera in the premises.
From Kaba Security Custodial Center, Rotimebo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Kogi state government has urged citizens and other well-meaning Nigerians to volunteer useful information that will ensure the apprehension of the masterminds of the attack. Governor Yahya Bello therefore urged traditional rulers and hunters to work in synergy with security agencies to ensure normalcy. And away from Kogi State now, the Director General FCT Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Abbas Idris, says a total of 4 persons were confirmed dead at the close of search and rescue operations on Monday in the unfortunate flood disaster which wreaked havoc on Trademore Estate in Lugbe, Abuja. He made a disclosure in an exclusive interview with correspondent Ilyasu Onotu Yakubu in this update on the flood.
The floodwaters receded, and those who survived the disaster are counting their losses. More than 26 vehicles, including an articulated towing van, were swept away by the flood, while 166 houses were affected with some damage. This is beside the tarred road in the estate that was completely washed away as a result of the strength of the flood water.
Everything is condemned. So now you can see us now. We don't know anywhere to lay our hand. We don't know where to stay.
The estate management made a lot of mistakes by putting up a building on a place that's supposed to have a water drainage.
However, the developers of the estate believe that the construction of the estate is not the primary cause of the challenge, but argued that the recurrent flood is emanating from the narrow nature of the culvert, where the water is expected to empty into.
We have a width of like 25 to 30 meters of water is passing through, but go down next door to that. And the place, the access where the water passes the express is not enough.
DJ FEMA, Abbas Idris, says some communities in Geri, Gwagwalada and the NSCDC Gwagwalada unit have been put on alert to report any case of floating body or property on the river channel.
All the residents of Trademore Estate should have to leave that area for now, so that they should allow the rainy season to cease. We don't know what is going to happen in future.
Abbas Idris advised that as the territory enters the final phase of the rainy season, residents should avoid dumping of refuse in drainages, avoid driving or walking through flood water. Ilyasu Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
In other news, Nigeria is promising non-stop support towards the eradication of drug abuse in West Africa and the continent at large. Chairman, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Buba Marwa, relayed Nigeria's commitment at the launch of the 2018-2019 West African Epidemiology Network on Drug Abuse Wendu report of statistics and trends on illicit drug use and supply. Musbao Dan Wahab reports that the Wendu report was prepared by ECOWAS Commission.
The use of hard drugs is one of the reasons for which Africa is in the limelight of the international scene. Youth mostly perpetrate the act, and women are reportedly bearing the brunt. It is projected to increase by 40% by year 2030, with West Africa accounting for more than half of the drugs used on the continent.
The problem of illicit drug use is widespread in our region.
with cannabis being the most common as it's easy to grow in our climate.
But even as concerned as policymakers are, inadequate credible data on the use of drugs in the ECOWAS member states is also an issue in ending the trend. And that is what Wendy Reports presents as mandated by the ECOWAS heads of states and governments.
The report highlights the latest estimates and trends on drug use and illicit drug supply, as well as trafficking in substandard, spurious, falsified, and counterfeit medicinal products in West Africa.
This 2018-2019 report, second in the series, is set to consolidate on the first edition.
Nigeria urges all ECOWAS member states to employ this well-articulated report for informed policy formulation, programming, and monitoring of our interventions in the ECOWAS sub-region for better outcome in our drug control efforts.
AU, EU, CSOs, and other development partners acknowledged ECOWAS Commission for this report, but want timely and purposeful implementation. In Abuja, Musbau and Wahab, NTA News.
And in Gombe, the state government has lent its support to the renewed war by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency against drug abuse and illicit substance in the country. State Governor Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya was at the headquarters of the agency in Abuja to build stronger ties for a drug-free state. Joshua Ojito has details.
A strategic state linking northeast with other parts of the country, Gombe is said to be vulnerable for drug trafficking. This, the state governor Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya said, has led to increasing social vices amongst youth.
Once the issue of the use of illicit drugs is curtailed and controlled, we'll have control on the rest of activities of criminals and bandits within our society.
On this matter of drug tests, and the NDLEA is always ready to support if we are given the assignment. I know one of the states is doing this already, Kano. Nobody gets appointed to any office. First they have to do drug tests and be negative.
The state government and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency agreed on areas of collaboration, which include setting up a patrol team on war against drug abuse across all local councils, an upgrade of rehabilitation center in the state, among others. In Abuja, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun has once again emerged as the best governor of the year in agriculture by the Nigeria Agricultural Awards in Abuja. Yemi Dalemo reports that the governor received the same laurel in 2020 edition of the award.
Receiving the award, Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun, who was represented by the State Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Femi Ogumbawo, says the state agricultural agenda is tailored towards that of the federal government's agricultural value chains. The governor stated that the target is to support smallholders farmers, create jobs, and link growers and farmers to industrial processors to improve agricultural value chains.
We have become the world epicenter as a dependable host and partner, especially with the government initiative of establishing the cargo airport to supplement the special agro-industrial processing zone of the Africa Development Bank, AFDB, in which our state has recorded tremendous success with 12,000 beneficiaries supported with technology, inputs, and credit.
Assuring the farming populace in Ogun State of government's commitment to empowering them with required knowledge and appropriate linkage, Governor Abiodun said farmers and industrialists have opportunities of tapping from the new Ogun State Economic Transformation Project, among other agricultural initiatives. The State Commissioner for Agriculture, Dr. Adeola Odedino, was also recognized as Best Agri-Commissioner of the Year.
When His Excellency came in, over 70,000 people registered for agricultural opportunity, and they are now working on the field and supplying raw materials sustainably to industry in Ogun State.
Dr. Odedino said Ogun State government will continue to partner other relevant stakeholders as strategies to boost food production and achieve agricultural waste management. In Abeokuta, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
Good news for Nigerians as Association of Local Governments of Nigeria carves out modalities to address the issue of multiple taxation of interstate goods transportation. Abdul Malik Hassan reports that Algon made this known during a visit to the NTA.
A meeting between like minds. Here, the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria is seeking NTA's support to disseminate information on the association's deliberate steps to eliminate multiple taxation policy and national transit insurance program that is in play.
It will impact on the lives of Nigerians because it will reduce the cost of food items or any other material moved from one place to another. So it will bring down the cost of transportation.
This multiple taxation is something that leads to an increase in the prices of foodstuffs and other essential items. So anything that is geared towards, eliminating it or reducing it to the barest minimum, we will be quite willing to, to be part of that endeavor. Our partnership is guaranteed.
Meanwhile, the Embassy of Israel in Nigeria is seeking NTA's partnership to showcase its forthcoming training programs to Nigerians, a prospect centered on lifting creative minds.
We're coming close to 2,000 applicants, and we will choose the most promising 30 to 50 applicants, men and women, that we can support them in 6 months program to make their innovative idea into a company, successful company product. They can pitch it to investors, they can create jobs.
These young men and women, are very enterprising, they are digital, they have a lot of experiences, they are raring to go. All they need is a little push. And this Tata program that the Israeli government, has in collaboration, of course, with the Nigerian government is a step in the right direction.
With this understanding for a cooperation to facilitate mutual benefits, another great chapter opened for the Nigeria-Israel ties in Abuja. Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with consummate author, journalist and Pan-Africanist Lindsay Barrett as he turns 80 on September 15, 2021. A statement by Femi Adesina, Special Advisor to the President, says Jamaican-born Barrett took on Nigerian citizenship in the 1980s, and the President recalls meeting him at the war front in 1968 while he covered the Nigeria-Biafra War as a journalist, where he was almost killed in an ambush. President Buhari salutes the about 6-decade commitment of creative writing and journalism put in by Barrett, urging the younger generation to learn from his doggedness to his craft. The President extends felicitations to the Barrett family, the media and the pen fraternity at large, wishing the celebrated writer longer life and good health. Time for a break here in Abuja, and let Adiola feed us with more reports from Lagos.
Thank you, Yeri. Experts in the technology sector are brainstorming on ways to devise the most efficient and transparent technologies in spectrum management, regarded as a potential source of revenue for government and a tool for defense in national security. Issues surrounding the 5G technology was also at the front burner of the 5-day training program on masterclass for spectrum managers in Lagos. In this hall are executive officers of government and private organizations and companies. They are here to find the best ways to ensure equitable distribution and management of spectrum, otherwise known as frequencies, because the demand from users is on the increase. Executive Secretary, Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, BON, represented by the Executive Director, Engineering of the NTA, Dr. Stephen Moses Okpanachi, speaks on the relevance of the masterclass in spectrum management.
As part of our organizations, many of our broadcasters use the spectrum, and I'm happy that for the whole 5 days, we'll be talking about spectrum management, because it's the spectrum that we utilize to get across to our listeners and indeed our viewers across Nigeria
Experts in their various remarks affirmed that the technology industry is a huge revenue source for government.
Spectrum is the oxygen of today's ICT world. And because of the scarcity of spectrum, there's a need to have a competent body to manage it for efficiency.
If spectrum is not well managed, we lose so many things. We lose money, we lose time, and we lose cohesion in area of communication.
And considering the high cost of doing business, as managers of frequency resources, we expect that participants who will leave this forum will go with the knowledge of how best to utilize those resources with a view to optimizing same.
As technology continues to evolve and reshape the world, there is therefore the need to adapt to the changes to solve problems and make the world a better place. Domalong Engineering Limited, one of Nigeria's leading indigenous oil fields equipment, marine structure and fabrication company, has signed an equity investment with Africa Capital Works to expand existing yards and acquire additional facilities to develop oil and gas business in Nigeria. Abolade Salami was at the business investment meeting and files this report.
Domalong Engineering Limited, a company that has carved a niche for itself in manufacturing and design of steel for over 7 decades, has evolved with time to reflect the current reality of doing things as regards to engineering services, fabrication, asset management, and galvanizing services. As a company that is determined to expand its rich range of capabilities and geographical presence with a view to delivering more excellent engineering services in the oil and gas sector, Domalong is partnering with a reputable firm managing over $1 billion for diverse range of investors.
What it means for us as a company is that we can evolve, we can grow, we can renew, and we can continue to do what we're already doing, but better, faster, and cheaper. And so we can serve our customers better. But it's also a vote of confidence beyond Domalong, but a vote of confidence in our industry, in the area in which we operate. And so if Domalong can do it, other companies can do it. So hopefully we'll be setting that example that others will be able to follow.
As an indigenous market leader in engineering services, Domalong has executed various onshore flow stations and major structural fabrications, as well as erection for major engineering service companies in the country.
In the Train 7 project, Domalong is one of those participating in the fabrication of structural steel, as well as the vessels that they are using within Train 7. With this capital injection, we believe they will have capacity to do a lot more than we had initially projected.
While maintaining a top notch in fabrications and galvanizing of oil and gas facilities, Domalong has also prided itself as a company with the best of professionals in telecoms, manufacturing, and power industries in sub-Saharan Africa. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
It's time for us to take another break. The news will continue thereafter with Nyere in Abuja.
Glad to have you back. The federal government will engage with UNESCO to encourage girl-child education. The Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talon, stated this during an interaction with the Director General of UNESCO, Audrey Ousley, in Abuja. Ngozi Silva, Technical, reports.
Advocates of women and children issues fashioning out possible ways of tapping into the various programs of UNESCO for the children in the fields of gender-responsive science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and technical and vocational education.
I also want to tell you that the DG, as a woman, she has top priority, two global priority and focus on gender and Africa. We need more support in the area of political empowerment, and we need more support in the education of the girl child.
For the Director General of UNESCO, there is an amazing package for women and the children.
We've seen setbacks because of these pandemics the world is going through, and the first to suffer have been women. The first to suffer have been adolescent girls So we need more than ever this priority for women's education, for girls' education, and that's why I'm very glad of this Spotlight initiative, thanks to the support of the European Union, that we implement together with UN Women in Nigeria.
The expectations are huge. The visit of the UNESCO boss to Nigeria will herald more impetus to bridging the gender inequality gap. Ngozi Silva, Technical, NTA News.
Time for a quick break. Please stay. A bit of sports now with Tamara Ibiwe.
Thank you, Yenre. Welcome to Sports Update. The stage is set for the opening ceremony of the maiden Aisha Buhari Invitational Tournament in Lagos, as all 6 teams, South Africa, Cameroon, Mali, Ghana, Morocco and Nigeria, are in Lagos, with their best players ready for the battle of the 6 best national teams on the continent. All matches will be played at the Onikon Stadium, with the best women's football referees on the continent set to take center stage.
We're comfortable playing at home, excited to play in front of our own fans again. Obviously, it's been like over 2 years, so it's a great opportunity for us to play some good football and make the people enjoy the game as well.
It's always great to play at home, you know, and with COVID and everything else, I'm sure it's going to be great to have fans there, and we're hoping for a big crowd because we need the support of the home-based fans, and I know the players are really excited about the opportunity to play in the stadium.
Away from football now, ahead of the 2021 Sports Federation elections, a group referred to as the Nigeria Basketball Vanguard said they will leave no stone unturned in ensuring that the necessary measures are followed in conducting proper elections into the Nigeria Basketball Federation. According to the group, to chart a way forward in Nigeria requires due process at all levels.
We would speak today so that in 20 years' time, when we are no longer there, there will be people standing playing in the name of this country and playing proudly.
Staying with basketball, Nigeria's D Tigresses will commence their FIBA AfroBasket Championship title defense on Saturday, September 18, 2021, when they face Mozambique in their opening game in Yaoundé, Cameroon. The 13 selected players on the list will be cut down to 12 before the championship commences. And that's Sports Update. Yenre, you're on.
Thank you, Tamara. President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with the family of Dr. Sule Sani Stores, Turaki in Katsina, over the passing of the former public servant whose contributions to the development of Nigeria will not be forgotten. The president believes that the former director of medical services at the Federal Ministry of Health served the country diligently, leaving a legacy of integrity and discipline. President Buhari, who commiserates with the government and people of Katsina, the Katsina Emirate Council and all his associates, prays that the Almighty God will forgive his shortcomings on earth and grant him Jannatu Firdaus. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has commiserated with the government and people of Adamawa State over the unfortunate tanker explosion which occurred in the Jimeta axis of Yola, while commending the quick intervention of fire service and other emergency responders in putting the inferno under control. The SGF promised that the government will put all necessary measures in place to avoid a reoccurrence. The death has been announced of Madam Mary Ali. She was 95 years old. Late Madam Mary, who hailed from Iboje quarters, Ayegunle, Okakoko, passed on the 8th of June 2021. Burial announcement by Engineer Dr. Felix Oluwapelumi Ali indicates that late Madam Mary is to be buried on Friday, 17th September, after a funeral ceremony in Ayegunle, Okakoko. She's survived by children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Time for a quick check at the weather outlook for Wednesday.
Hello out there. We have good prospects of rains for Wednesday. We expect it to start off strong within the wee hours and thereafter get light and intermittent. We expect this morning rains to start off over parts of Taraba through to Plateau, southern parts of Kaduna, the Federal Capital Territory, down to Benue State and most of the central region. This prospect is also there over the southern parts extending to the coast of Lagos. This morning prospects are equally there over the northwestern parts of Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara. In the afternoon, we expect better prospects over the northeastern part of the country, where we expect thunderstorms. And within the central region, we still expect to see 1 or 2 rains here and there, and also reaching to the coastal areas, though we expect the afternoon rains to be of less intensities compared to what we had in the morning. At the end, we expect high intensities of these rains over parts of Delta through Kogi, the Federal Capital Territory, parts of Niger, and areas around Bauchi and Plateau State.
And that concludes Network News tonight. Many thanks for watching. And please remember, the fight against rape and rapists is still on. Be a part of it. I'm Ian Ray John. Good night.